In the last tutorial, we added the function and event listener pair for our myClick, or the click underscore button, which is that first one. Now we are going to add one more thing here, which is going to be this output message here in the middle. I'd like it to change also. So it's pretty easy to change that and add it on to what we already have. All I have to do is put the name of that output of this dynamic text field, which I know is output underscore txt, and then set the text of it to the same message that I have for the trace. So I'll do that equals, and then I'm going to copy the same message from here and paste it there, and then put a semicolon when I'm done. That semicolon is what ends that line, and it tells us to go on to the next line basically. So anyway, it says the same thing, clicked on, and then event.target.name. And once again, this event.target.name is a really important thing, and I am going to take it off real quick just to show you what's happening there. If I take off, well, let's try it first the way it is, event.target.name. When I click on it, you'll notice that it says I clicked on click underscore button. Now if I take that off, so it says just event.target, watch what happens instead. I click on it, and it says clicked on object button. So it's actually telling me instead the type of object that the event is coming from versus the name of the object that is being clicked. So that's why we use .name quite often. Now we can also do other things. This event mouse event is very specific. This is what's called a I guess a specific event, and we don't really need to have that. We can actually take a couple things off and still have this work pretty well, and you'll see this quite often. I'm going to just put EVT right in there, and I'm going to take off this void. The void is saying don't send back any information as a part of this function, and this event here is the variable that's passed from the mouse event when it's clicked, and it's sending it to the function. So if I change the EVT, then I also need to change the same thing here. So it says EVT, because this is the name of the variable that we have up there. So I would change the same thing there. So it says just evt.target.name. And you'll notice that this works just as well. So it works just fine. So either way that you do it, where it's specified as event mouse event or not, can really be interesting. Now, where would this be kind of an interesting thing? If I actually told this to be a key event, keyboard event, it might be keyboard event. Yeah, keyboard event. You might see that it actually generates an error when I click. And that's because I have told it to be a keyboard event, and so it cannot remap a Flash event that's a mouse event to a keyboard event. So that's why we sometimes have those mouse event or keyboard event or whichever, because they're more specific, and it does help in making sure that we are less error prone when we are that specific. But for the purposes of this particular tutorial, I'm going to leave it off for right now. And for the others, it's probably not a bad idea to leave it on there just so that you are specific. Anyway, we're going to go on to the next ones. Now you'll notice that on the digital media website, I have a list of all the different mouse events here. Mouse event.click, mouse over, mouse out, roll over, roll out, mouse up, mouse down. And we're going to deal with the mouse up and down right now. And I think the others you'll be able to handle for the most part yourself. So I want to go back to the Flash file, back to my Actionscript window if it will come up. There we go. And it doesn't want to, so I'm going to come back to it this way. There we go. So I'm going to begin by copying the code that I have here and pasting it below, a few lines below, and I'm going to change this to the mouse down and up so I know what section I'm working with, and I'm going to change the name of my function. So this will be my down actually you can even call it mouse down. And if I change the name of the function there to my mouse down, I also want to change it over here where we use it. Now I also need to change the name of the button which is being used. So I'm going to click on that and make sure that I have the name of the button, mouse down up underscore btn, and I can come back to my code and paste that. Now that I have the button and I have the function names changed, I also need to change the event that's happening here. So this is going to be a mouse underscore down. Oops. Mouse underscore down. And it should turn blue, and it's all uppercase. And then let's change our message. Mouse down on and mouse down. Now we'll copy that and change all the downs to ups so that we have the up section as well. Up. So this will be mouse up on, mouse up on. This will be the same button, gets the event listener, but we do need to change the mouse event to a mouse up. Oops, mouse up is all uppercase, and then we'll change my mouse down to my mouse up. So once again, we just have to make sure that everything is there and working together. I'm going to just move that over just a little bit. So we have function my mouse down, and that matches my mouse down at the end of the event listener. We have our two buttons, which are the new mouse down buttons, and each of those corresponds with a mouse down runs my mouse down, mouse up runs my mouse up, and then we've changed our messages inside, and we can test this with Control Enter, and you'll see we have our mouse down there. When I click on it, I get an output, which is the mouse down. I let go, it shows mouse up. And I can do that also, of course, in the Actionscript window here as well. You'll see it's actually changing the message here. So if I were to open this by itself and not within Flash, I would still see this mouse down and up happening, even though it's in the output window as well. Now we're going to be doing the same thing with the other sections, so you can copy and paste your mouse down section, and you can do your rollover and your mouse over and mouse out sections as well. And I do want to point out that there is a difference between a rollover and rollout and a mouse over and mouse out when it comes to those things that are captured through bubbling and propagation. And it's something that we'll be talking about later, but it is interesting that the rollover and rollout buttons, rollout mouse events do not bubble where the mouse over and mouse out ones do. And what's important about that is mouse over and mouse out can be used as generic mouse handling, and the rollover and rollout cannot. And that's just something to point out that's kind of interesting. Anyway, I'd like you to go through the rest of this file and add your rollover and rollout sections, making sure that you also add comments about it so you know what section that they are. And when you're done, save your work, and then we will go on to the double click and the mouse move and mouse wheel.